let's take a look at Blackberry. You know, Blackberry was extremely popular in its day. Now they've diversified a bit because they're no longer the dominant force in mobile phones. So let's just see what can be done and cannot be done with Blackberry. The Blackberry operating system is proprietary. It's a proprietary mobile OS developed by RIM, Research in Motion. It uses Java-based third-party apps and third-party app development frameworks. So it uses the Java 2 mobile information device profile platform, and it has connected limited device configuration with RIM-specific APIs. BlackBerry has always been for corporate email. With BlackBerry Messenger, there's enterprise server, email client, internet service. They have spread out a bit. You can see now there's app stores and games. The BlackBerry OS architecture looks a little bit different. So you have like a typical OS with a kernel, with a file system, and inter-process communication, device and process management, and then user applications and libraries in the user space here. The BlackBerry OS, they like to say it's different. They've got a microkernel that is this, and all these different things connect to it. Input drivers, file system, network, graphics driver, user application, etc. And they all talk to these things, and the user apps talk to these as well. So the RIM says that this is what our architecture looks like. It's different. It is, of course, proprietary. We don't have access to really editing or developing a whole lot, although BlackBerry did make it possible to do some app development. BlackBerry Enterprise Solution has servers. It has an email server. It has database, web, and app servers, instant messaging servers. It has mobile data system with firewall and internet connectivity. And you can have BlackBerry smartphones or other devices that run the BlackBerry OS or are BlackBerry enabled. So you can see we have centralized unified management. We have BlackBerry smartphones, BlackBerry OS smartphones, or iOS and Android devices running BlackBerry applications on it. And it could be corporate owned, personally owned, bring your own device, whatever. This whole thing is part of the BlackBerry infrastructure. Are there attack vectors against BlackBerry? Yes. If we go to cvedetails.com, we can see, and I just did a quick look right here, we can see right here, BlackBerry OS vulnerabilities. The last major one that was discovered was in 2014. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least and 10 being the worst, it was 4.3. But also in 2014, there was a serious one, a stack-based buffer overflow in a certain decrypt function that would allow attackers to execute arbitrary code. Were there any exploits developed against this? We'd have to look. And then we can see that there were some moderate ones before that. These are just a few. But notice that of all of these CVE numbers, there have only been 4 that have actually been listed on cvedetails.com. 4 total vulnerabilities in BlackBerry that are of any note. So it is still nonetheless possible. Just because an exploit doesn't exist doesn't mean there isn't a vulnerability. You could still take advantage of malicious code, even have it signed. There are email exploits. There are exploits against your TCP/IP connections. There are exploits against your files and your data. You could have malware. There could be manipulations of your memory or processes, exploits against your SMSs or your phone, the telephony. So how do you secure a BlackBerry device? They always meant it to be a corporate-owned and corporate-controlled device, not like an Android. So you use the BlackBerry Unified Management. You use that whole enterprise security thing. You protect files with password encryption. You secure confidential data with BlackBerry Protect or whatever their security app will be. You protect data by enabling a media card or SD card encryption. You make sure that there is a security policy in place to manage the BlackBerry devices. You make sure there is a monitoring mechanism in place for the network. And you make sure that you adequately train your users and your support people in security awareness and attacks. So of all of the major mobile phone, smartphone devices, I don't mean the little flip phones and, I don't mean the little Nokias or whatever. I mean the ones that are actually smartphones that'll run apps like this. Android, the most vulnerable. Loads of vulnerabilities. iOS, only a few. And you really have to either plug into something malicious or jailbreak your phone. Windows 8, very few choices at this moment. Blackberry, vulnerabilities, are there really exploits? Are people actually doing it? Hard to say. So that is the 4 main platforms. Now let's get on to mobile device management.